Well, good morning and welcome to CityLine. We are live every Thursday morning. And this morning, of course, is put my glasses on there. There we go, the 28th. We're almost at the end of March. Where did it go? We have a great hour ahead of us. Later on, we'll be talking with the Palmer Scholars. They are here to talk about their organization and their upcoming event. And then Tacoma Concert Band is here to talk about the last concert of the season. This is a concert that got, at the last minute, rescheduled because of our snowmageddon. So we are grateful to have them back in the house and to hear about their upcoming concert. Youth Marine Foundation is here to talk about Sea Scouts. You don't want to miss that. And then with me right now is the South Sound 911. And please join me in welcoming Mr. Tim Hannah. How are you?
Good, thank you.
You are the Assistant Director of Technical Services.
Yes.
And you have some amazing socks on. Let's see if we can get a sock cam on this. Miss Cheryl, can you get a sock cam on that? Oh, there they are. Very, very nice. Okay. And then with you is Kim Barnard. And Kim, you are the Communications Officer for South Sound 911. Welcome, Ms. Kim.
Thank you.
Good to have you here. Okay, so Tim, let's talk about, let's describe South Sound 911 for our viewers, because it's not as simple as it seems. So give us the 411 on 911.
Sure, real quickly. So back in November of 2011, the voters overwhelmingly approved a tax initiative, 0.1% sales tax, to create South Sound 911. And what that did was two things, was increase the taxes so we could fund a new building to consolidate a bunch of 911 centers around the county into one. And the other part was to upgrade radio systems. So those two things are underway. The radio system was updated. We are all using it in public safety throughout the county, but now we are working on getting that building constructed. But what that also did was consolidate the 911 centers. So instead of a lot of smaller individual ones around the county, the vision was, let's have one center that provides 911 services throughout the county. And so we're underway, we're doing it, and this next step with Text 911 is another one of those initiatives that we're tackling.
Wow, talk about not resting on your laurels. You guys are busy. I love that. So Kim, let's talk about how many emergency and non-emergency calls does 911 handle annually? So we get a good idea of volume here.
Well, our 2018 annual report just went out, and so what we found out was that in 2018, South Sound 911 received over 506,000 911 calls.
Wow.
And we also received over 408,000 routine lines coming in. So of the 911 calls that we got, over 81% of those actually came in on cellular phones.
My goodness. Okay, that's a huge load. So as we look at that and we get further into this, what is the advantage, Tim, of having one organization handling calls for both law enforcement agencies and fire and EMS?
Well, what we had in the past before South Sound 911 is we had a lot of different 911 centers throughout the county. So someone would call 911 and we'd have to transfer that call. If it was a medical aid call, we'd have to transfer it across town to a different dispatch center, and there would be a lot of transfers. And the citizens got frustrated by the fact that their 911 calls would be answered, and then they would say, we're going to need to transfer you, and then we'd have to transfer you again. And so South Sound 911 is beginning that process of one call, and you're going to get the service that you're requesting, police, fire, medical aid. Today, right now, due to the fact that we don't have our new building done yet, we still have a few centers around there, but we're trying to reduce those numbers of transfers, and that's part of our mission.
Outstanding. Okay. So, Ms. Kim, let's talk about this. You've just launched the Text to 911 service in Pierce County. First off, tell us about it. How does it work? What is the background? How long did you test it? And then how does it benefit us?
Well, basically we tested it in the last few days. And so we had to be in a live situation in order to do that, in order to do test calls to fire and to see what it would look like for us so we could get our team trained. I think the benefit is obviously that people who feel they can't make that voice call can text to 911. And also for the deaf and hard of hearing community, that they're able to text on their phone instead of having to go through an interpreter or relay service. One of the things I can remember from having worked at 911 for 28 years is that a few years back we had somebody who was actually taken in a vehicle by a boyfriend in a domestic situation. And so we were able to follow them because of the cell phone service, but we weren't able to get information from her. And I think with the texting, had we had it back then, the caller would have been able to text us her information and, more importantly, the information on the suspect as well as the vehicle that they were in.
Wow. Okay. Impressive. Okay. So so let's talk about this, because on some phones, I mean, and we were talking about this in the green room. If you were to send a text to 911, first off, give us some tips about how to use it.
Well, again, we want people to call 911 if they can, obviously, and if they can't, because they're part of the hard of hearing community or they feel they can't make that voice call, we want them to be able to feel they could text. It's another resource and tool, and we'll still be able to get the call and be able to get the help that they need. I think some of the tips that we give, like we do for audible calls, is that always know your location. It's just like in real estate, location, location, location. Also, be brief on what it is that you're giving us so that we know whether or not we need to get medical aid, police, or fire to you, okay? Also, keep that cell phone device with you so that if we have additional questions for you or we need to give you instructions, that you'll have that with you.
Yeah, that's good tips. I mean, it's calling 911, as I said to you, is not something that we take lightly. And the times that I've had to call 911, and of course used my cell phone, it has been all I could do to hit the numbers 911 and to talk about what was going on, let alone hit an emergency button. I know you haven't tested it for long, but are you anticipating people getting used to texting, or are you anticipating people wanting to just hit the phone button and hit operator?
I think with every new technology, I think there's going to be that trial and error period. So I'm glad that we did get the time to test it out. I think we did find out yesterday, after the media had found out that we do have texting to 911 in Pierce County, we did get a couple extra calls. We did get an actual domestic call yesterday where the caller didn't feel like they could talk, and it was a violation of a court order. And so with the training that we gave our call takers and with the help of the citizen who was texting, we were actually able to find them and actually apprehend the suspect.
Wow, impressive. Okay. So what is your preference for us? Is it for us to call or text 911?
We don't have a preference, but again, the whole campaign has been call 911 if you can, text if you can't. So I think this is just another tool that we have in order to make sure that people save the hard of hearing in the deaf community, and also people in domestic violence, also people that could be in a bank robbery and they don't feel they can make a phone call. I had a call where it was actually a domestic, but it first appeared as a bank robbery, and so one of the clerks actually called 911. But again, you have to take the safety of the citizen first and most. It's very important that they be safe. And so I think we could have maybe have gotten more information from the clerk had she been able to text instead of calling, because you're always worried that the suspect's going to hear the person on the phone. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, that's always, I mean, you think about, you know, if you are in that situation, how quietly can I get help? And how do I not risk myself and other people in that situation? But, you know, from either handing somebody a note or calling 911 and saying, I need to order some pizza or something like that. So there's all those ways that happen. Tim, you are in the process of constructing a public safety communication center in Tacoma. What's the advantage to consolidating everything in one facility?
Well, right now our agency is spread across the county. We have our Fire Communications Center in Puyallup. We have our main 911 center for law enforcement in Tacoma. Tacoma Fire still operates in their facility. We have our records division and our administration facility downtown. So this is going to bring us all together as one family into one house. And most importantly, though, it's going to reduce those transfers. It's going to reduce the calls that have to go from the center to center. When it's a 911 call that comes in and has to be transferred to fire, that brings a delay. And our goal is to reduce that time of the phone calls being transferred so we can get first responders out and en route to those emergencies as quick as possible. And that's what this facility will help, and also bring us as a family, a South Sound family, together into one facility so we can not be driving around the county to see each other.
I love that. There we go. All in the same building, all under the same roof, all rowing in the same direction, as we would say. Kim, is there anything else in these last few minutes that you'd like us to know about the South Sound 911?
I think I'd like to just say that South Sound 911 is an amazing group of people and professionals that are dedicated to the citizens of Pierce County, their safety, as well as the agencies that we serve. We're excited to see where South Sound 911 is going and the direction it's heading. And I think we just want the citizens to know that we're still there for them and that we're part of their community. We work for them and we live with them.
Oh, well said. What do you hope that they walk away from with this new texting ability, Kim?
Well, I just hope that they remember to call if they can, text if they can't.
Okay.
And make sure that it's an emergency situation, because we're busy with other 911 calls and we need to make sure that the people who truly have emergencies get help as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. I think both of you have done that so beautifully. Thank you to this, to you, to the teams behind you, to everybody who had a hand in this, for making this easier for us to get the help that we need in many, many ways. And above all, for always being there and answering that phone call. You keep us safe 24/7, and we can't say thank you to you enough for that.
Appreciate that.
Again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Happy to serve.
All right. Well, after just a little bit of musical chairs here in the studio, we'll have the Youth Marine Foundation here to talk about Sea Scouts. You don't want to miss that. We'll be right back.